Hello and welcome.
Good evening.
My name is Alex and it is time to talk about differential transfers. I think I'm gonna be doing this every game week depending on the success of the series. So we'll start with the big news that Dominic Solanke, a pick that many went with, considering nice fixtures for Tottenham early on. He didn't deliver in the first game week against Leicester despite having some chances. And now apparently he has picked up a knock, and Ange Postecoglou, if you trust him, he's saying that Solanke is out of the game for Spurs. Now it is time to take a look at the teams that you may have. Now for the second game week, I have Muniz, who is gonna be my striker of choice. I didn't expect him to return in a game against Manchester United, but definitely Leicester, Ipswich, West Ham, and then later Forest, and obviously even Newcastle at home are the games that I think Muniz can deliver. So speaking of Muniz, I would say that this is your first differential. He was active in the game against Manchester United. He didn't have like a decisive chance to score a goal. If you want to make a transfer this game week, you can switch to either Chris Wood or Muniz, and because Chris Wood and Muniz have good fixtures, they not necessarily playing for insane teams. But let's take a look at Chris Wood, for instance. This is his heat map for the game against Bournemouth. So these are the type of fixtures that you would want to target when you play a striker like Chris Wood. And he wasn't particularly insanely good in that game. He was clinical though. So if you take a look at this chalkboard and shots, let's select Chris Wood, and you'll be surprised he only had one shot in the entire game, and that was a shot on goal. So that's Chris Wood being clinical, but his overall performance wasn't that's crazy. He wasn't even the man of the match despite scoring the goal. Neco Williams, in fact, was the man of the match for that game. So if you are about to pick an interesting differential, I would go for one of the Forest defenders. So Aina was a nice choice, but the thing is, like, now that bought Moreno, right, from Aston Villa, who can play as a left back, it's adding some spanner into the works. But these are two differentials to start with, but not necessarily you have to field a striker, right? So imagine you have this situation when you're picking a team, you can play someone like a midfielder, right? In fact, this is where I'm making the switch, and I'm not losing much, you know, because I'm playing a good attacker. He's a winger, in fact, right winger for Newcastle. He only played 15 minutes in that game. He was forced off just because Newcastle were playing with 10 men, and that was a defensive substitution. But I think Eddie Howe, as a manager, he will be like a little bit feeling like he owes Murphy a little bit of playtime now, and he definitely will be starting for Newcastle in a game against Bournemouth. And then it's Tottenham, a fixture where Tottenham can be leaking goals like they used to in the previous year. And then it's Wolves away, so nice fixtures for you in the midfield if you want to get Gordon or Murphy, and that would be your third differential. But I'm not sure that you need to go for an attacker. If you have Haaland and Isak, I think you're set for the next few game weeks. You can, of course, try to get Harvest. He is now rising in price. He costs 8.1 million, but I wouldn't be even getting him. I would be concentrating on defenders. And for that, I would say that getting someone like Robinson or Hall is not a bad idea. So Hall, he cleared the ball off the line in a game against Southampton at home. Playing as 10 man, he still managed to keep a clean sheet. And it looks like, given the Char gets a suspension, Dan Burn is going to be continuing playing as a left center back, and there is no real competition for Hall in left spot for Newcastle. So left back spot for Newcastle. So you can you can obviously expect to Hall to start next game and the game after this at least. And then when it comes down to right back position, now it's Livermore and Trippier. Trippier is still playing for Newcastle. He was their starter. I'm not sure if Trippier is going to be benched all this time, and he may be given a nod over Livramento anytime. So there is a little bit of a risk. Obviously, getting a trend, like, look, this is my team. If you're missing some of these players, you may consider getting them. Getting Saka right now, I think it's not the best option because they're playing not easy fixtures. Even Brighton at home can pose some trouble. Like, obviously, they should be winning that game on paper, but no. And then it's Tottenham away, Man City away. And obviously, when it comes down to the next fixtures, it's either your wild carding or getting Harvest for Leicester and other fixtures which are very favorable for Arsenal. Speaking of other assets, like you can see, I have Gibbs White, who can be a nice asset for Southampton and Wolves away. And I think, in fact, I'm starting him over Murphy as it stands. But I'm just doing that because he has penalties. Like, I really want to find a way how to start Murphy. I don't know, man. So speaking of other differentials, there's obviously always will be a problem. Right back spot that is probably was cemented by Walker. Ricalieu is showing that he deserves to be played there. And this is his heat map, in fact, against Chelsea. So he was playing a lot more like a right midfielder rather than right back. And he spent just as much time there. And look, there is some heat map as well. He was positioned himself over here as well a lot. So that's pretty much right wing forward. Look, Savinho is injured. We don't know what Pep is going to be cooking. Is he going to be playing another right wing forward or maybe playing a narrow formation where Ricalieu is going to be given even more freedom? And I think after his phenomenal performance in a game against Chelsea, I think he will be given a nod for the next few game weeks, at least the game against Ipswich. So Ricalieu could be your differential. Let's take a look at his passes as well. So this would be passes for Ricalieu. As you can see, he played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 passes in the box and was very active in the middle too. So we're attacking player. If you want to pick up a defender who has that potential of getting some bonus points for progressive play, creating chances, and maybe even assisting or scoring a goal, he has that in his locker. So that would be your fourth differential. And in fact, that's fifth. But if you talk about another differential pick, if you have a team like mine where you're already have trouble picking up a starter, I would just, the differential would be right now is just saving a transfer. So I think saving a transfer is my strategy. So if we talk about my Gameweek 2 selection team, this is how it's gonna be looking like. And I don't think that I need to make any transfers. It's obviously I would have wanted to improve my team in a way. Gabriel may be like a little bit tricky selection. If I could play with 2 defenders, that would be nice. Gabriel for Murphy, I will be there. My problem is that Barco is going to be losing price just because he's been loaned and it looks like there is not going to be a lock-in price for him. And my defender's situation is a little bit shambolic. But I'm going to be eating that clinch, like goals conceded by Gabriel against Villa. In case maybe he scores a header, would be nice. I think saving a transfer for a team like mine is a good decision, and you need to evaluate your team yourself. But if you needed some picks, this is my idea, what you can do with your transfers. Saving one, but some of the players that you can target for the next foreseeable future. This would be maybe another interesting shout, would be obviously Robinson and Smith Rowe. So these are 2 Fulham players. You can obviously try getting them. Andreas Pereira actually is overlooked. He's on penalties and he's just as Smith Rowe playing very attacking midfielder, creating a lot of chances, and he is definitely, that penalty appeal is there. So these are additional players you might be looking at. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like. I will be trying to put in more effort in these coming forward. I just was rushing just because I got the news about Solanke and I thought that it might be interesting for you to take another perspective. Like, look, I'm watching myself a lot of fantasy videos, and the more perspectives I get, I think the more useful it is for me, and it helps you in any way. Yeah, drop a like, and I'll see you next time. Peace.